Welcome to the Booby Trap Podcast, Wine, Films, Murder, where murder is a mood and diamonds aren't always a girl's best friend.
Especially when they're stolen under a Riviera moon. I'm Baby Melons.
And I'm Tata Baps. Today's glittering gem, Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief, 1955. Glamour, danger, and a cat burglar with a killer smile.
Prepare this sparkling caper with a bottle of 2020 blush from Gaudy Winery and Bodega located in Berryville, Virginia. A blend of Chambourcin and Vidal Blanc grapes. It's light, flirtatious, dangerously smooth, just like Cary Grant on the Riviera.
Sip too quickly and you might find your heart or your jewels stolen. Because this is a blush, it's pink like a rosé, but because it's a blend of both white and red varietals, it's considered a blush and not a rosé. Definitely some floral and some herbal notes. The taste, I feel like almost nectarine, but also I know we've had different spices that we've eaten and tried. So I think it's definitely shifted the palate quite a bit, but in its favor. It's very light, semi-sweet. I personally love having this blush. I know a lot of people don't really like rosés. They're usually red wines. The skins are in there temporarily, but it's the two varietals of white and the red that it actually makes it a little bit more sweeter and a little more smoother than I think what people are used to when we say rosé.
Yes, I'm in the hating rosé camp too.
See, I think this is something that can transform that hate to maybe love.
I'm looking at the bottom of an empty glass, so I think
you enjoy. I'm curious what you think in terms of food pairings.
I think you have to be really careful and make sure it's things like a white fish or maybe pork, just because it's not over the top bold. If anything that was, as you can see, when we had spicier, it's really going to mute what's going on.
The spices, it's kind of distracted from the wine itself. It took a while for us to kind of refresh our palates. So what's your rating out of 5 wine glasses?
I don't particularly care for rosés, but I was okay with this. Still, it's not my favorite wine. I'm going to give it a 3.
I do like it, but it's interesting because I think for everyone, your taste buds change. So every day is different. I just tried this the other day and it was like my top wine of the day. Whereas, let's say I try it today, we had different flavors, different things that you've experienced. So I'm going to rate it a little bit lower than I did just even 3 days ago. Maybe more like a 4, but it's a really good wine. It's refreshing. I was doing that tasting the other day. It was just like boom, 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 boom. I was enjoying every single wine, and once again, some days I'm really preferring the whites over the reds, but the other day I was enjoying everything.
It's a mood. It's absolutely a mood.
Cheers. Let's continue this conversation. Let's return to the film story.
In the 1955 film To Catch a Thief, John Robie, a.k.a. the Cat, is a retired jewel thief living on the French Riviera, played by Cary Grant, dripping with tuxedo charm and smug mischief. But when a new string of jewel thefts rock the coast, everyone assumes Robie's back on the prowl. To clear his name, he must catch the real thief. Enter the ice-cold, diamond-rich heiress Frances Stevens, played by Grace Kelly, all elegance and dangerous flirtation. Together, they dance, drive too fast, and dangle from rooftops while the police close in. Directed by the master himself, Alfred Hitchcock, this was his 3rd film with Cary Grant, and he called it his light vacation movie.
They filmed on location in the French Riviera, Monte Carlo, Nice, Cannes, all while Hitchcock was sunbathing he was walking around in a sunbathing suit. Or I should say, maybe he was just sunbathing in his suit. How about that?
Grace Kelly actually met Prince Rainier, Monaco, just months after filming this movie. It was the last time she played a glamorous American heiress before becoming actual royalty.
Talk about a plot twist, right?
Filmed in the area around the Principality of Monaco, where Grace Kelly would become an actual princess.
So the car chase scene, Grace Kelly actually was driving, and ironically, near the cliffside spot, which unfortunately she died in that tragic accident decades later.
Cary Grant announced his retirement from acting in February 1953, and it since the rise of method actors like Marlon Brando, most people are no longer interested in seeing him. Not true at all. He was lured out of retirement to make this movie and thereafter continued acting for a further 11 years.
Wow.
We're all the better for it, right?
Absolutely. At the time, Cary Grant was 51 years old and Grace Kelly was just 25. But their chemistry, smooth as silk and sharp as a stiletto heel.
This is one of the first movies to use VistaVision, which gives it that crisp, wide-angle glamour. It made the Riviera view look like a painting.
And also to enhance what people were seeing, Hitchcock cast real Riviera locals as extras to blend in with Hollywood, adding more authenticity to the film.
The costumes were designed by Edith Head. Big in the day was a costume designer and the queen of mid-century style. Those gowns were to die for.
And fit for a queen or a soon-to-be real-life sus.
This was the only Hitchcock film released by Paramount that is still controlled by the company.
It wasn't well received, and it actually got mixed reviews from critics.
I think it's more appreciated now. This isn't what you would expect Hitchcock at all. You didn't have any of the noir feel to it.
No, I agree. So we're going to go ahead and watch the film now. And if you want to join us as we're watching and discussing the film To Catch a Thief, check out our accessory reel, which is a bonus companion track. Otherwise, continue with Mimi and I as we provide a few snippets from the film. Then we're going to discuss the criminal themes that we identified throughout To Catch a Thief from 1950.
My jewels! My jewels! I've been robbed! Someone stole my jewels! Help!
Slow down.
And let them catch us?
Let who catch us?
The police in the black car, the ones who are following you.
I don't know what you're talking about. Police following me?
Yes, police following you, John Robie, the cat. I've never caught a jewel thief before. It's stimulating. Are you sure you were talking about water skis? From where I sat, it looked as though you were conjugating some irregular verbs. I have a feeling that tonight you're going to see one of the Riviera's most fascinating sights. I was talking about the fireworks.
I never doubted it.
Where you looked at my necklace, I didn't know.
I figured it was you the night your father died. He couldn't climb anything, and you always did his legwork for him, even during the war when you were a kid. Come down, Robbie!
Going into our crime analysis, we have cat burglary. This term was coined for individuals who climb through an open second-story window through the agility, having an agility of a cat. That term, cat burglar, originated in the early 20th century, specifically 1907, to describe thieves who were especially agile and skilled at climbing. So it enabled them to enter buildings in a way that resembled a cat's movements. And so this phrase became popularized after a particular burglar, later identified as Arthur Edward Young. He was dubbed the cat due to his climbing prowess. And it's 1907, so it wasn't hard to break into buildings. It was fairly certain that Young was the first person to be called a cat burglar. He's mentioned in the news stories not as a cat burglar, but as the cat burglar. So there weren't any others before him. As you're doing searches for the term cat burglar, they only turn up a few hits prior to 1907. But they're all stories related to people who have either stolen a cat or the cat itself being found to have been the culprit of something that had gone missing. An interesting tidbit about that.
It's cat burglary. It specifically refers to burglars who are highly agile, of their ability to climb and move with grace and stealth of a cat. They gain entry through unusual means. They might climb to upper story windows or balconies or use other unconventional methods to enter a building. Of course, operate with stealth. They aim to enter and exit a property undetected, minimizing the risk of confrontation or alarms. The agility is a key characteristic. They may or may not use tools or force to gain entry, but their method of entry is typically stealthy and cat-like.
And we were definitely seeing that throughout the film for every kind of scene, that all these sorts of these four areas of being highly agile, gaining entry through some kind of unusual means, operating with stealth. Pretty much force, I would say, was there force use? I don't know. We're definitely seeing throughout the movie.
It looks like they may not have been high up, but I think Cary Grant was doing all his own things. I didn't see anywhere cutaways, and usually back then you could absolutely tell. The only thing I can think is maybe Hitchcock used filming angles to look like they were up high when they really weren't.
I think that's probably true, because when you think about the angle where it was coming from below and looking up on the roof. It looks like you're kind of on the roof, but you'd have no idea. They could just be standing on the ground. You have no idea.
So it's all optics.
Talking about burglars again, the most famous cat burglar was the guy named Peter Scott. He was nicknamed the king of the cat burglars, also the human fly.
The king of the cat burglars, I've never heard that term. I have heard the human fly.
Okay. So he learned how to pick his targets and how to climb secretly into mansions from a man that he had met in prison. And that guy had actually been previously best known cat burglar, George Tatters Chatham. And so Scott and Chatham actually got information from their intended victims from magazines and gossip columns. Essentially they were going to library doing research.
Mm-hmm.
The most famous burglary that Peter Scott did was from Sophia Loren. She was making the millionaires, and he read that she was going to be paid in jewels for that film. And so he pretended to be a journalist to find out where she was staying. He then climbed into the property, removed the cash and jewels that was listed as the largest jewelry theft in the world. It was about 200,000 pounds.
Wow.
And in 1965, there was a film called He Who Rides a Tiger, starring Tom Bell and Judi Dench, partially based on his life. In 1995, in a memoir called Gentleman Thief, Scott justified his thefts in writing that I have an inbuilt suspicion that I was sent by God to take back some of the wealth that the outrageously rich had taken from the rest of us.
Probably good.
But he wasn't really giving it to he was giving it to himself.
Okay. This movie, which comes out as a core theme in a lot of Alfred Hitchcock movies, is the wrong man. You'll see that a lot. It's a theme in quite a few of Hitchcock's movies. You have a mistaken identity, wrongfully accused. So here the core plot revolves around Robie being wrongly accused of the new robberies, forcing him to prove his innocence. And by that, he takes it upon himself to investigate the crimes, find the real thief using his knowledge and skills from the past as a thief. But is it to be a criminal, you have to think like a criminal? I never thought about that until you just said it, which is a lot of what profiling for modern history and doing the FBI profiling that they do, which is to interview serial killers to get into their head to see how they think, to figure out how a serial killer that is uncaught, how they think. So obviously they're not going to be a serial killer themselves. All of these interviews that they do with the Ted Bundys and Kemper and things is to get into, and I'm sure he's probably seen some of Mindhunter, is to get inside their head to try to think. Because the best way to catch a criminal like that is to think how they think. So it's really interesting that Hitchcock was way ahead of his time on that, going to get inside their head.
Yeah, I like that. And I was thinking as you were talking about that, Mindhunter, right, which is the TV.
It got canceled, which just broke my heart. It was really good.
The speakers from that.
Yeah, we did. And we saw, and she does a lot of profiling. It's Catherine Rusman. And she was a crime con as well. She has been really instrumental. And I think they kind of represent her in a cursory way in Mindhunter, the series. She was one of the few females at the time that was doing this. She was a trailblazer. Incredibly interesting with profiling, and it works. They have caught not just serial killers, but they have caught criminals based on profiling about their age, ethnic group, geography. Are they organized, disorganized? All of these things that they put together to try to narrow down who they're looking at and assess that list.
I think when you have these interviews, you have to be very careful about what you reveal because you want to start off having a repertoire, right? But without revealing too much of your own life and information because you don't know who they know outside in the real world.
Right.
But also getting them in your head.
Super manipulative, and they're liars. They're known to be prolific liars, and they love the attention. They like the game of it. We're back to the cat and mouse we talked about.
Yeah.
To be able to get in there and do it is a testament to how strong these profilers are. To be able to do it at arm's length and not have it be reversed where they're getting into your head.
Right.
Which again, they have manipulative skills that no ordinary person would ever be able to master.
These interviews from over the years. And some of the worst of the worst, I think it takes a lot of strength and incredible skill to continue to do that.
The one that sat down with Charles Manson, who just loved to play mind games, was unfortunately incredibly intelligent. but so damaged. He could take a grain of truth and just spin it in ways. It's a skill to be one of those profilers. That's why there's not a lot of them.
Well, at this point, unless there's anything else that you'd like to bring up from the movie.
I think I'm going to end on serial killers. It's
Okay.
a good place to end, right? I like to hit it on a high note.
I guess I'll go ahead and summarize today's podcast. We end up tasting the 2022 blush, the blend of Chambourcin and Vidal Blanc grapes from Bugatti Winery and Bodega. We end up pairing the wine with the 1955 film To Catch a Thief. The film was directed by Alfred Hitchcock and it starred Cary Grant and Grace Kelly. Cary Grant was lured out of his retirement, actually, to make this film. Grace Kelly met Prince Rainier of Monaco just months after filming, so that's who she am. Marrying and obviously becoming Princess of Monaco. This is the only Hitchcock film released by Paramount, but still owned and controlled by the company. And this is one of the first films to use VistaVision. We also wrapped up our session talking about cat burglary, being wrongly accused due to mistaken identity and how to prove innocence, fall into profiling and serial killers.
You're never going to not get me to go there. We're never going to do anything on serial killers because I don't want to become salacious on this. This needs to be our lighthearted Cary Grant, who's our love, and the old ones really had depth to the movies. The only reason I bring it up this time is just because how that kind of just fast forwarded and what this was and how it tied out.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I know it's hard not to get me to go there. I get it. I have a dark brain.
Oh, good. So at this point, let's talk about our final thoughts.
To Catch a Thief is part mystery, part romance, all wrapped up in silk scarves and stolen kisses.
There are a lot of those, though.
I know so much how they were stolen as much as they were given away. But giving that up all over the
Definitely
place.
giving those kisses away. It's Hitchcock's love letter to charm, a wink to the idea that maybe the best thieves are the ones who steal hearts.
And if you're lucky, you will catch one. I mean, I love serial killers, but I'm romantic at heart.
We are both romantic at heart.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we do like the happy ending.
I do. I like my bows. I've seen movies where it has the ambiguous ending, and I'm like, no, give me. I want and I don't want the bad guy to win.
All those, they purposely do that, right? Because usually, Hollywood films, it is at the end of the day.
We want a happy ending, and if anybody says otherwise, I know they're out there because these directors want to be avant-garde and all that kind of stuff. But yes, true moviegoers like us, we want the good guy to win. We want a happy ending.
No, I agree.
How about we have a happy ending right now?
Well, this brings us to the end of the podcast episode. Remember to check out this episode's accessory reel as we drink and comment while watching the film together. If you enjoyed the Movie Trap podcast, like, follow, share, and interact with us on your listening app and social media channels. We've also curated a Spotify music playlist and a YouTube video channel for each episode, so be sure to check them out. Please tell your friends and family. Also, if you have any wine or film that you'd like us to pair, let us know and we'll do our best.
Finally, for this episode's teaser to be answered on social media, and I like this one, you can't cheat. You have to, this is a life experience. Have you ever been fooled by someone's identity, and how did the truth finally come to light? I would love to hear about that. I know you would too.
Yeah,
I would love to
absolutely.
hear about that.
So until next time, keep your corks tight, your glasses full, and beware of thieves, especially cat thieves. Cheers.
Cheers. I hate when people steal my cats.